Well, the Bible says in Genesis 6:14 that God instructed Noah to build the ark out of gopher wood. So I've always wondered too, what is gopher wood? It's gopher, it's like you think of like, groundhogs or something. It's like a gopher is this little tiny creature. No, it has nothing to do with that little animal. We actually don't know what kind of wood is gopher wood. In fact, this is the only place in the Bible that it uses this phrase gopher wood. So we're not sure what kind of tree corresponds to gopher wood. So some Bible translations translate gopher wood as cypress, the cypress tree. And cedar has also been used as a possible choice for the ark's wood. When we walked in here to the ark, just the wood smells so good. I'm guessing this is cedar, which cedar not only smells good, but it has a preservative effect. And because of the oils in the cedar, it will kill insects, and it's a preservative. Basically, they said we can't tell what kind of wood gopher wood was. Maybe cypress, maybe cedar. So some people might wonder did Noah know how to work with metal? And did they have this kind of technology already at that time? And the Bible gives us the answer in Genesis 4, verse 22, which refers to the time before the floods. And it says, quote, "As for Zillah, she also gave birth to Tubal-Cain. Tubal-Cain was an instructor of every craftsman in bronze and iron." So Tubal-Cain, not a good guy, but he was the father of working with iron and metal and bronze. So since people in the pre-flood would have been capable of metalworking, Noah, of course, could have learned this skill during his long life. So this kind of metalworking already existed even before the flood, many, many, many years. And here they give the likely view, which they say 75 years maximum. And then they say the unlikely view is 100 years or 120 years. That's interesting to me because I always assumed it took him like over 100 years or 120 years. But what they explain here is that when God told Noah to build the ark, he said it would be for Noah, his wife, their 3 sons, and their sons' wives. That's in Genesis 6, verse 18. It seems that God did not tell Noah about the flood until Noah's sons were already grown up and married. So according to a minimum of 25 years from Noah's 500th year to allow his sons to be born, to mature, and then to get married, Noah would have had a maximum of 75 years to build the ark. So when we think about how old Noah was, and then when God told him to build the ark, and then we just assume it would have taken 100 years or 120 years, but that we're not accounting for his children. His 3 sons were grown men and helped him to build the ark. So that would mean it probably took about 75 years maximum to build this ark. Still a long time. That's like a lifetime, in modern, longevity, a lifespan. But the idea of 100 years, this is based on Genesis 5, verse 32, where we're told that Noah was 500 years old when his sons were born. So this is likely a reference to his age at the birth of his oldest son. So he's 500 years old. Wow, he's a pretty old guy. But again, he's probably not aging because due to the fact that the earth was different. There was a water canopy, a firmament that basically, think of like a greenhouse, that's like it protects from harmful UV rays, so people would have lived longer, human longevity. It's like that water being in that canopy above the earth filters out all the harmful rays, and so there is less entropy and people live longer. But when that collapsed, that caused the rains to fall. Also, the Bible says that there was water underneath that broke, and so water was coming up as well. And so with that breaking of the water canopy, that's why humans don't live as long as they did before the flood. So he was 500 years old. This is a reference to the age at the birth of his oldest son. But the immediate context in Genesis 5 is not about the ark. It's just about when his oldest son was born. The idea of 120 years is based on Genesis 6, verse 3, which states that the Lord said, "My spirit shall not abide in man forever, for he is indeed flesh. His days shall be 120 years." So they say that's like, at that point, it's like an average lifespan. Well, even that's longer than it is today. But we see there are people in the world that can live up to about, well, if you live over 100, you're doing pretty good. If you live to 120, it's possible, and especially in certain places in the world we find that. But God basically put a limit on how long people would live. And this was because of man's sinfulness. He said it's not good for people to live too long, because the longer they live, the more wicked they become. This is why we need the grace of God. This is why Jesus came, so that as people with a sin nature, through the grace of God, we spend this temporal life serving God, fearing God, trusting God. And so we want to use this life wisely to serve Him, knowing that one day we will give an accounting to Him and we're going to live forever. I mean, people in eternity, are going to live forever, either in glory, in heaven, or in eternal punishment. But either way, human beings were designed to live forever. So God put a limit on human life, not because He's cruel, but it was actually His wisdom and His mercy to keep people from living too long and becoming more and more depraved. That's why He sent the flood. So when we think about this 120 years, God said, it doesn't give an indication that God said these words to Noah, or that Noah started building the ark at this time. It just means He put a cap on human longevity.
노아는 의인이요 당대의 완전한 자라. 그는 하나님과 동행하였으며 세 아들을 낳았으니 셈과 함과 야벳이라. 그때 온 땅이 하나님 앞에 부패하여 포악함이 땅에 가득한지라. 하나님이 보신즉 땅이 부패하였으니 이는 땅에서 모든 혈육 있는 자의 행위가 부패함이었더라. 하나님이 노아에게 이르시되 모든 혈육 있는 자의 포악함이 땅에 가득하므로 그 끝날이 내 앞에 이르렀으니 내가 그들을 땅과 함께 멸하리라. 너는 고페르나무로 너를 위하여 방주를 만들되 그 안에 칸들을 막고 역청을 그 안팎에 칠하라. 내가 만들 방주는 이러하니 그 길이는 300규빗, 너비는 50규빗, 높이는 30규빗이라. 거기에 창을 내되 위에서부터 한 규빗에 내고 그 문은 옆으로 내고 상, 중하 3층으로 할지니라. 내가 홍수를 땅에 일으켜 무릇 생명의 기운이 있는 모든 육체를 천하에서 멸절하리니 땅에 있는 것들이 다 죽으리라. 그러나 너와는 내가 내 언약을 세우리니 너는 내 아들들과 내 아내와 내 며느리들과 함께 그 방주로 들어가고 혈육 있는 모든 생물을 너는 각기 암수 한 쌍씩 방주로 이끌어들여 너와 함께 생명을 보존하게 하되 새가 그 종류대로 가축이 그 종류대로 땅에 기는 모든 것이 그 종류대로 각기 둘씩 내게로 나으리니 그 생명을 보존하게 하라. 너는 먹을 모든 양식을 내게로 가져다가 저축하라. 이것이 너와 그들의 먹을 것이 되리라. 노아가 그와 같이 하여 하나님이 자기에게 명하신 대로 다 준행하였더라.